chat. Okay, hopefully this is working. Fingers crossed. If you're in the chat, please let me know if you can see me. Please let me know if you can hear me. And also, please let me know if the chat works by chatting with me. So, I do apologize for the technical difficulties. So, we'll just wait until some people get in here. Travesty on Twitch said it looks good. Awesome. Now, hopefully it's working on YouTube. Awesome. YouTube looks like it's working. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I was so worried about that. I couldn't get YouTube working. I was hoping what I did was working. Thankfully it did. Awesome. Cool. Hey, Jimmy. Hey, Blackjack player. Great. I am so glad that it's working now. Cool. Awesome. I love it when technical difficulties happen. I'm being sarcastic, by the way. Awesome. Very, very cool. Okay, so let's see. Where was I? Let's get back to this. I was at, let's see here. Odds. We were doing odds. That's what we were doing. I had to remember. So we were talking about odds. Now, again, you have your pass line bet, which is your main bet, and then the odds, which are behind it. Now, how do you know how many odds to take? It just depends on the casino. So there are some casinos who do 100 times odds, some casinos who do 10 times odds, and some casinos, actually most casinos in Las Vegas, do 3, 4, and 5 times odds. Ha! That's funny, John. By the way, hi, John. Good to see ya. So, if we do 3, 4, 5 times odds, that depends on what number the point is, determines how many odds you can take. Now, also, what is determined by the point is how much the odds get paid. So, if the point is a 6 and an 8, the odds get paid 6 to 5. If the point is a 5 or a 9, the odds get paid 3 to 2. And if the point is a 4 and a 10, then the odds get paid 2 to 1. Yep, we will get to betting the horn, John. That is in the proposition bets, and that's actually the last thing I'm going to be talking about is the proposition bets. So we're going to be talking about this area first before we get into the side bets and the proposition bets. Okay, so we got the odds. We got that. The point is established. You know the point is established when the marker is marked as on and it's on one of the points. And what that means is that point has to hit again before a 7 rolls in order to win. So if we are on the come out roll and the puck, the marker is marked as off, and we roll the dice and we hit an 8, then the point is now an 8. Now we have to hit an 8 again in order to win. If we hit a 7 before we hit an 8, then the pass line bet loses. The don't pass would win, but the pass line bet loses. Let's see, where was I going with this? So if it's a 7, it loses. If the point hits, so example, the point is an 8 hits, then the main bet gets paid even money, and the odds get paid depending on the point. So let's say it's $10 on the pass line, $20 for the odds. That's how it would look. The point is 8 hits. Then you get even money for the pass line and 6 to 5 for the 6 and the 8. So the dealer would come in and pay 6 to 5 for the odds bet. Mark would be turned it off, and then we start a new roll or a new come out roll. And that is how the main bet, the pass line bet, wins, as well as the odds on a normal craps game. Maine. Hey, Maine. How are you? Good to see you. How's the weather? It's actually been a little chilly here and some rain. Like, we got some rain. It's been a little weird with the rain. Now, let me know if you guys have any questions about what I talked about so far. Again, if you have any questions about the pass line bet, the don't pass line bet, the odds, or establishing a point, let me know. That's what we covered. So I want to make sure you guys understand it. If you don't understand it, now is the perfect time to ask, and I can try to explain it a little better. So Wolfgar says, can you show us how to lay odds the way a dealer would for a don't pass bet? Okay, sure. So typically laying odds happens with the don't come. For the don't pass line, that is something I didn't talk about that I should talk about. So when you're doing odds on the don't pass, let's say you have $10 on the don't pass and you want to put odds on that, and let's just say the number is a 5, then you know that the odds are 3-2. Well, with the pass line, you have to have 2 bets or 2 chips in order to get paid 3 chips, 2-3, right? Well, when you're doing the don't pass, you actually have to do the opposite. You have to lay out 3 chips in order to get paid 2 chips. And the reason why is because that bet is more in your favor, or those odds are more in your favor than the pass line. So you have to put more money out to get paid less money. So that's something I didn't go over. And then what Wolfgar was talking about as far as laying odds, if it's a 4 and a 10, or let's say, for example, you're playing the don't come, and you have which, by the way, we haven't gone over the come, so if you don't understand this, don't worry about it. We'll go over the come right after this. But basically what he's talking about is you have the don't come, you have the odds on the don't come, and you need a VIG. So you have to pay a VIG on that. And the VIG is like a commission. So for $20 or less, it's $1. Some casinos are really nice, and if you're betting $25, they'll give you a VIG for $1. It just depends. And then, $50 is $2, and so on. So you have to pay money to make that bet. And that's what he's talking about when he's saying laying the odds. So Maine says, if I decide to bet on a point after it's made, am I correct that you could put your bet half on the pass line and do this because of the odds? So Maine is saying, ha, cool. Nice. Okay, so Maine, let's see. Because of the odds. Okay, so if the point is off, you could put a pass line bet on there, and that's okay. If the point is on, again, you don't have a pass line bet, the point is on, you can lay the pass on there, that's okay. However, you can't take the money off. So once the point is established, let's say if you have a pass line bet, point is established, you couldn't say pick up your pass line bet. Or say, I don't want to play that anymore, I have to pick it up. You can't do that. Once the point has been established, you have to leave it on there. I believe that's what you were asking, Maine. Let me know if I answered your question. I think that's what you're saying. So, yeah. Blackjack player says, do you have to play the pass line or don't pass line to put odds on or not? Yes, you have to play the pass line in order to play the odds. You cannot just play the odds. The odds are true odds. The odds, when I say true odds, what I'm saying is that there is a 0% house edge on that. That is probably the best bet in the casino for the player. However, you do have to play the pass or the don't pass in order to put your odds on there. And again, the pass line house edge is 1.41%, and for the don't pass, it's 1.36%. So even though you get true odds on your odds, you get a 0% house edge on your odds, you still have to bet the pass line in order to bet the odds. You cannot bet the odds alone. I was told to put it on the line instead. Cool. Excuse me, I need to get some water. Okay. So, Maine, I think I know what you're talking about. However, I don't know enough to actually explain it. I do believe some casinos do that, but again, I don't know, so I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. If anyone is in the chat or anyone is watching, let me know if you know the answer to this. Go ahead and put it in the comments and we will talk about it. And my throat is absolutely killing me and I need more water. Just 1 second. Sorry about that. Water. I'm hiding. You can't see me. Wolfgar, it is called a put bet in Maine. Oh, that's why. It pays the same as a place bet. Okay, so it's basically like you're doing a place. That makes sense. Cool. Yeah, because here what you would do is you would just do the place bet and we would just put you up there. Sorry, my eyes are watering and everything. I was like, my throat. Okay, so does that answer your guys' question? Are you guys good on what we talked about? The pass line, the don't pass line, and the odds? If you guys are good, then I will move on, which is the come bet. So next we will be talking about the come bet. Unless, of course, you guys have any more questions, let me know. You're all good? Cool, looks like you guys are all good. Okay, so next is the come bet. So like I said, there are 3 variations to the main bet. You have the pass line bet, the come bet, and the place bet. They're exactly the same. You have the flat bet for the pass, and then your odds for the pass. When you're doing the come bet, you're going to put your flat bet on the come bet, and then a number will be rolled, and whatever number is rolled, that's where your come bet is going to go. So let's just say a 6 is rolled, you're going to put a come bet on that 6. And then you can put odds on that flat bet. Now with a 6 and an 8, the odds have to be made in increments of $6. And then with a 4, 5, 9, or 10, it's made in increments of $5. So you have a $10 6 and you would put a $12 odds on top of that. If it was a 5, so you have a $10 come bet and a 5 is rolled, that would go to the 5 and then you would put odds on the 5. So if you want to put $20 odds on the 5, you could do that as well. And then the odds get paid the exact same as the pass line bet. So the 5 hits, you put odds on the 5. The 5 is 3-2. If you have a $20 odds bet, then that $20 gets paid $30. It's 3-2. So let's see here. Oh, right. That's the other thing. Now, if you have a $10 come bet, for example, and a 7 or 11 is rolled, then your come bet wins. If a 2, 3, or 12 is rolled, then your come bet loses. That means that, for example, we're playing on a game. Everyone has their money up. Everyone's playing. All this stuff. If you are playing, you have the points established, and a 7 rolls, 7 out, everyone loses, but the come bet wins because the come bet always wins on a 7 and 11. So that's something people, I need to remind people of, so I just wanted to point that out real quick. So the come bet is a winner on the 7 and 11 and a loser on a 2, 3, and 12. Let's see here. Does anyone have any questions about the come bet? Now, while I'm waiting for your questions about the come bet, I'll explain the don't come bet real quick. Now, just like we had a pass line and a don't pass line, we have a come bet and a don't come bet. The don't come bet, again, is exactly the same as the come bet, except the opposite. So when I said that on a come bet, a 7 and 11 are rolled and you win, and a 2, 3, and 12 are rolled, you lose. Well, if your bet's on a don't come bet, it's exactly the same except reverse. So instead of winning on that 7 and 11, you would lose on the 7 and 11. And if it's a 2 or a 3, you would win. However, it's always bar 12, which means if a 12 rolls, that is a push. So that's the difference between a come and a don't come. When you have a come bet, the come bet goes inside the box, and then you put the odds on top. That's how you know it's a come bet. If you have a don't come bet, that don't come bet goes behind. So it's in the box behind the, it's like the box behind the box behind the number, and that is where you put your don't come. So down behind. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Cool. Hey, Boston, how you doing? Good to see ya. I like to bet the field, even though it's a sucker's bet. I always seem to do good on it. The trick is don't play it every roll. Cool. Just play when you have a hunch. Wolfgar, only bet field is 12 is tripled. Otherwise, I would not. What casino has triple? Ooh, Boston. I have that answer for you. Okay, so I am working on an article right now. And I know I've been telling you guys about it for a while. My bathroom is seriously like, I've been distracted and I haven't been able to get it done. I'm working on it. I hope to finish it today or tomorrow, and we will have that up. But I will explain to you the difference between a field 12. So when you have the field, we haven't spoken about the field yet. We will get there. When we talk about the field, the 12 either pays double or triple depending on the casino. So if it pays triple, that's better for the player, better house edge. Now, where can you go to play that? In my article that I will be releasing soon, I will tell you all of the casinos that you could play that have triple the field, as well as what their minimum is. So that is in my newest article that will be coming out soon as I finish it, I promise. But that will give you all of the information that you need, as well as what casinos they are located at and what the minimums are. So I hope to get that out soon. Fingers crossed. It's been a hell of a 2019, I tell you what. Okay. So that is good. You guys are good. We talked about the don't come. Okay, so let's talk about the place bets. So the pass line bet is our main bet. A variation of the pass line bet is the don't pass line. Another variation of the pass line is the come bet and the don't come bet. And the last variation of the pass line bet that we are going to talk about is the place bet. Now, the place bet is just like the come bet and the pass line bet, except the player chooses when they want to play on that bet. And the next roll that comes out, if you hit that number, you get paid. So instead of having to hit the number twice, you only have to hit the number once. But because of that, the odds are a little different and they're a little worse. They're not as good. So if you do a place bet on the 4 or the 10, then this pays 9 to 5 for the odds. So the flat line still gets paid the flat line, but then the odds get paid 9 to 5. This has a 6.67% house edge. I swear I could talk. And you normally do it in increments of $5. Now, if you do a 5 and a 9, then that pays 7 to 5, and that has a house edge of 4%. And again, increments of $5. If you do a 6 and an 8, then that pays 7 to 6, and that gives you a house edge of 1.52%. And you normally play these in increments of $6. Okay, let's talk about the field. We talked about the pass line bet, the don't pass, we talked about the come, we talked about the don't come, and we talked about the place bets. Those are all of the main bets in craps, and they're all pretty much the same, except with slight variations. But those are all the main bets. So now let's talk about the side bets. One of the biggest side bets being the field. Yay! Oh, I'm out of focus? Your camera is out of focus with the movement. Ah, yeah, probably. We have autofocus on these cameras, so they're web cameras. They're not the best, but at least they work with live streaming. I'm glad I'm in focus now, so that's cool. The field, it's a one roll bet. So you put your money on there, and one roll, that's all it takes. In that one roll, you have to hit a 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, or 12. If you hit any of those numbers, you get paid even money. If you do a 2, roll a 2, you get paid double. If you roll a 12, you could get double or triple depending on the casino. Now, if you do double or triple, again, let's talk about the house edge. The house edge for a triple or 3 to 1 is 2.78%. The house edge on double or 2 to 1 is 5.56%. So the double, 5.56, is a higher percent. The triple, 2.78, is lower. That's why that's better. Again, the house edge, what does that mean? If you're betting $100 on the field, every single hand, if you're paying triple, which is 3-1 on the 12, then that $100 will lose $2.78 every single hand or every single roll. If there are 60 rolls in 1 hour, that adds up. Again, if the house pays 2-1 on the field, then that house edge is 5.56%. That means for every $100 bet that you're playing on the field, every single roll, the casino is making, or the casino is profiting off of you, $5.56. Again, every single hand, and that adds up. So that is what we're talking about with the house edge. So when you are at craps and you are playing on craps, it's always good, especially if you like playing the field, to play on a game where the field pays triple instead of double. Yes, it will be marked on the felt. Exactly. You will see it on the felt whether it pays double or triple. Cool. Now, for the people out there who are craps dealers or who are learning this for craps, I just want to go over the take and pay procedure real quick. We had this question earlier in the week, and I just wanted to point it out to someone. So when you do dealing, and you're dealing craps and you're doing the take and pay procedure, you always go outside in. Now, what am I talking about? This is where the stick person would be standing, and I would be right here at the base. So this right here, the players who are standing in these positions right here, this is known as inside because it's closest to the stick man. These players who are playing on this side of the table, right here, which is closer to the base, this is known as outside. So when we say pay outside in, we're talking about starting from this location right here on the table and going in this direction to the stick man. That's what we're talking about when we go outside in. Now, another thing that we do when we're doing the take and pay procedure for dealers is we have a saying that helps us out. And that saying is, down behind the field, 68 aliens are coming to place bets. Now, what does that mean? Down behind is talking about the don't come boxes that are located behind the numbers. That's what it means when it says down behind. You're going to take those down behind first. The field is the field, and then you have 6 and 8, which is the big 6 and the big 8 right there. Next is aliens, which is the don't come box, and our coming to is talking about the come bets, and then place bets are, of course, talking about the place bets, and that tells us where to go and what to do as far as the take and pay procedure goes, so we can do it in the correct order every single time. Do you guys have any questions? How are we doing so far? I think right now we basically have talked about this entire area of the craps table. So if you have any questions about this area of the craps table, now is the time to ask. Next, we're going to be talking about the proposition bets. We're going to be going into the proposition bets, talking about them a little bit. And then after that, we're going to take more of your questions, and then we're going to call it good for today. So if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. Maine, awesome, good info. Yay, cool. Glad it helps. I know, craps is hard. Craps is a lot to take in. And if you are a dealer on craps, it typically takes 2 years dealing on the game, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, just to be decent. Not even to be good, just to be decent. So it's an extremely hard game to learn, and there is a lot to it, and we're just skimming the surface. Okay, no questions. Awesome. So let's get into it. So this is known as the proposition bets. The proposition bets are the hard ways and the craps and the 7s and 11s and all that stuff. They're located right in the middle of the table. Now, this layout right here is wrong, but if you're on a normal craps game, you could tell what is a one-roll bet or a multi-roll bet depending on the color of the text. Again, this layout is wrong because I got a really crappy layout. But normally red, if it's like a red color, then that means it's a one roll bet, and a yellow means it's a multi-roll bet. Again, this layout that we are using is totally wrong. I don't know why, but they switched it. But normally you could tell what's a multi-roll bet or a one-roll bet by the color of the text. Again, red is a one-roll bet and yellow is a multi-roll bet. Now we have the hard ways up here. We have a hard 6, hard 10, hard 4, and hard 8. What am I talking about when I say hard? Well, if we're rolling a hard 10, that means that we have a 5 and a 5. So 2 5s, that's a hard 10. If we do a 6 and a 4, that's a soft 10. So that's what I'm talking about when I say a hard 10. So a 3 and a 2 would be, or what is that? A 4 and a 2. A 4 and a 2 would be a soft 6, but a 3 and a 3 would be a hard 6. So if a 3 and a 3, a hard 6 roll, then the player would get 10 4 1. Now let me tell you a little bit about the 10 for 1. So 10 for 1 is exactly the same thing as 9 2 1. What am I saying here? Well, if you're betting one chip like this and it is 10 4 1, you get 10 chips for that one chip. So I take your original bet. Ooh, and I'm throwing stuff. So I take your original bet. That's what 10 4 1 means. If I do 9 2 1, I have one bet, and that is 9. I do not have enough chips, especially since I threw my last one. If we are doing 9 2 1, then you are getting 9 chips to the one chip, and then you keep that one chip. If you're doing 10 for 1, you have a bet out there, you get 10 chips for that one chip, and that is why 10 4 1 is exactly the same thing as 9 2 1. So I hope that explains the 4 and the 2. Let me know if you have any questions about that. I hope I explained the hard ways okay. If you have any questions about the hard ways, let me know. Let's see here. One thing I didn't tell you is the house edge for the hard ways. So if you have a hard 4 and a hard 10, then the house edge on 8 4 1 would be 11.11%. If you have a hard 6 or a hard 8, then this usually pays 10 for 1, and the house edge on that is 9.09%. Now let's go to the next bet, which is any craps. Any craps happens if you have a 2, 3, or 12 hit. This pays 8 4 1, and that gives us a 11.11% house edge on any craps. Any 7 is pretty much the same, only if a 7 hits, that's when you get paid. So only a 7, just a 7, nothing else. If a 7 hits, you get paid 5 4 1, which gives you a 16.67% house edge. Next is 11, which is located right here in these two boxes, right there. If an 11 hits, you get paid. It depends on the casino. There are some casinos that pay 16 for 1, and some casinos that pay 15 for 1. So if you're at a casino that pays 16 for 1 on the 11, then that means that you get a 11.11% house edge. Now, if it's 15 for 1, that house edge goes up to 16.67%. Next is the 3. So we got the 11 right here, which is what we just talked about. And then we have a 3, 2, and 12. I don't know if you could see that on the camera, but a 3, 2, and 12. So if a 3 hits, which is this one right here, then it gets paid, depending on the casino, either 16 for 1 or 15 for 1. If it's 16 for 1, again, it's 11.11% house edge. If it's 15 for 1, again, it's 16.67% house edge. Next is the high-low. If we do the high-low, let's say we're going to bet on the high-low. The high-low is a 2 and a 12. We would put the bet between the 2 and the 12, and that's the high-low. That's how we would know it's a high-low. Now, it pays 31 for 1, which gives us a 13.89% house edge. We also have the C and E. It's not located on this table. You can't see it on the layout, but typically you will have circles right here next to the proposition bets that say C and E. What that is talking about is the C is any craps and the E is 11. So if a 2, 3, let's see. So basically if a 2, a 3, or a 12 hit, then you get paid 3 to 1. And if a 12 hits, or I'm sorry, if 11 hits, you get paid 7 to 1. That gives you a 11.11% house edge. Next is the horn bet, which I know someone out there was asking. I remember you guys were asking about the horn bet. The horn bet is when you do a 2, 3, 11, and 12. So that's the horn bet. It's normally made in increments of $4 because, again, you're doing 2, 3, 11, and 12. So that's $4, 2, 3, 11, and 12. And typically with the horn bet, you have a 12.5% house edge on that bet. Now a horn high is exactly the same as a horn bet, except you have an extra dollar. So with the horn bet, you make it in increments of $4, but a horn high, you can make it in a higher amount, and usually it's like $5, but whatever that higher amount is, you place on the horn high number. So if the player comes in and they say, hey, I want a horn high 2, then you put $1 on a 2, 3, 11, and 12, and whatever money is extra, if it's $1 extra, for example, you put the extra dollar on the 2 because he said horn high 2. So that's what horn high 2 is. So, okay, so I hope that explains to you guys the horn bet. I know you guys were asking about the horn bet. Hey Udo, how you doing? Thank you for showing up. How you been? I haven't seen you in a while. Wondering how you doing. So, hope all is well. Udo's one of my early people, one of my early aces. I love the guy. He's so cool. Okay, so next, we have a whirl bet or a world bet. I know it sounds very similar. Whirl, W-H-I-R-L, or world, W-O-R-L-D, world bet. And this covers the world bet. It covers basically all of the horn bets plus any 7. So that's 2, 3, 7, 11, and 12. And you typically make this in increments of $5. When you do make a world bet, it's usually put on the corner right here. Again, this layout sort of sucks. Everything's squished together. But typically on the proposition bet, on the 7, you have this little corner right here, and you place the world bet right there. And that basically says, I'm covering everything. And that pays 26 to 5 on a 2 and a 12, and 11 to 5 on a 3 and 11. And if you roll a 7, then it's a push. And a world bet is basically a 13.33% house edge. Let's see. What's the payout on a horn bet? Depends on what number hits, correct? Let's see. I think I said it. Oh yeah, I didn't say it. Yeah, so it basically depends on what the number hits. You could see what it basically pays right there. Jimmy, what is any specific payout on the... Oh, okay, you're asking the same thing for the world bet, or is it just shorthand for multiple bets? Same as an individual bet. So yeah, it's basically a shorthand for multiple bets is when we're doing these kind of weird bets. The horn bet is a little different because you're basically placing $1 on each one of these bets. So it is, for example, if you have a $4 horn bet and you have $1 on the 11, the 12, the 2, and the 3, and let's say the 2 hits, well, you could see, well, I don't know, can you see right here? Okay, you can't see. How about this one? Okay, you can see that one. So if a 3 hits on the horn bet, you see that it pays 15 for 1. And you know you have $1 on there. So that's basically you're giving them, technically it's $14. You give them $15, but then you take the horn bet. So technically they get paid 14. But that's how you know what to pay. And then same, well, not technically the same thing with the world bet. See, if you have a world bet, If a 2 or a 12 hits on a world bet, it pays 26-5, which is probably the weirdest odds that you're going to have to pay. Probably one of the weirdest odds you're going to have to pay on a craps table. Also, if a 3 or 11 hit, you have the bet pays 11-5, and if a 7 hits, then that's a push. So again, on a world bet, if a 2 or a 12 hits, it's 26-5. If a 3 or 11 hits, it's 11-5. And if it 7 hits, then that is a push, giving you a house edge of 13.33%. 13.33%. Okay, so do you guys have any more questions? Okay, so no more questions. So let's continue with the proposition bets. If you think of any questions, let me know. So we talked about all those so far. Now let's talk about a three-way craps. A three-way craps covers a 2, 3, and 12. As you can see here, you have a 2, 3, and 12. When you do a three-way craps, it's typically made in increments of $3, and you would put it on the side. Again, there's really not much room on this layout, so I know it sort of blends in with the other bets. But typically on a proposition bet, you would put the bet on the side, and that means it's a three-way craps. That basically is saying you're paying $1 on each one of those bets. So that's what a three-way craps is. Now, let's see here. With a three-way craps, if a 2 or a 12 hits, it pays 30-1, and if a 3 hits, you are getting paid 15-1. And I believe that does it for the day. So we talked about all of the proposition bets. We talked about the hard ways. We talked about the main bets, which are the pass line bets, the don't pass, the come, the don't come, and the place bets. And we talked about the field, which is also a side bet. If you guys have any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. Otherwise, I think that pretty much does it for the day. Let's see what you guys are saying. Jimmy, so a world bet just gets a fancy payout then. Yes, basically, a really fancy payout. I loved learning that one. That was fun. Wolfgar, how does dealer position the hard way bets to keep track of them? Great question, Wolfgar. Unfortunately, this layout really sucks, so hopefully you guys can get an idea of what I'm saying, even though the layout blows. So what we are doing is the dealers know who, basically what bets are whose players, depending on the position of the bet. So, for example, if you have a player right here next to the stick man, he is, let's say this is him playing right here, let's just pretend. He is always going to be right here. Now, let me explain this a little bit better. On a craps table, you're going to divide the craps table in half by putting a line through the proposition bet and where the stick man is. The stick man indicates where that where the middle line is. So you have the middle line, and then you have this side and that side. So the shape of the box is going to be exactly the same shape as the this side of the craps table. So the person who is playing next to the stick man is near the center of the table. Therefore, we're going to put all of this guy's bets near the center of the box. So if he wants a place bet or a come bet, he is always going to be in this location. This is the center of the table. He is next to the stick man, so he is going to be in this location. If he is right here, let's say like one spot over, then he is going to be one spot over. Again, like I was telling you guys, this layout really blows. Technically, the boxes are much, much bigger, and you can fit 3 people like so in one box. So that's how big the boxes should be. They should be able to fit at least 3 people right here in one box. So we have 3 people right here and 3 people in the back and 1 person to the side. So you could see where everybody is standing based on their location. This will be for this person next to the stick. This will be for this person next to him. This is on the hook. We call this the hook right here. So that person is on the hook. Same right here. And then this person right here, this person is next to me, the baseman. And this is basically how I tell who's betting where. So that way all you have to do is look at the craps table and you could tell what player is playing what bet based on the location of the chips. The field is a self-service bet. So because of that, the players are going to put the money down and pick the money up. So they're the ones who are responsible for keeping track of the bets that are on the field. The same goes for the hard ways and for the proposition bets. We'll tell who's playing what depending on the position. And again, we start in the middle. The middle is the center. And we go over and like so. So this is how big the table or the box should be, is about that big. Again, this layout blows, it's a little small, but that is how we, the dealers, determine who is betting what bet. So I hope that answers your question, Wolfgar. Let me know. Jimmy, okay, thank you. Craps has definitely been taking me the longest to figure out more than most games. Yes, this is the hardest game to learn. This is a game where this will take you a very, very, very long time to learn. There's so much. If you have any questions or if you need any help, you can always go to my website, vegas-aces.com, and I have in the resources section instruction manuals, and you could see a craps instruction manual for how to deal the game, and that should help all of the new dealers out there. There's a lot to learn. Awesome, good. I'm glad that helped. Cool, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you, May. Awesome. Very cool, Travesty. Thank you so much for joining me on Twitch. I'm glad I had some Twitch people. Very, very cool. Okay, awesome. Well, I'm glad you guys don't have, I'm glad you guys get it. I'm glad you don't have any more questions. I'm glad that's cool. That does it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining me, and join me again next time on my Let's Play Craps live stream next Monday, May 6th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, this is Heather Ferris with Vegas Aces, reminding you that education can change the world. It was great talking with you guys. I hope to see you again next time. Bye!